In-depth study by Truve Fagge, or me. The content of this presentation will be, firstly, the thesis question, then I will explain what consumerism is, what effect it has had on the globe, then I will explain how overproduction, plastic pollution, and global warming are all causes of consumerism, and how these three challenges are connected to each other. Then I will conclude the presentation and lastly list my sources. This is my thesis question. To what extent is consumerism one of the greatest challenges of our world? To explain this, we need to understand what consumerism is. Consumerism is the theory that the welfare of a country will increase by consuming large quantities of goods and services. Some define it as a policy that promotes greed and inequality. Now, which definition is best, it's up to you. But many people are strongly in the belief that consumerism is quite bad for humans and also the world. The reason why consumerism is so bad is because it relies on economic growth. Although economic growth is good for a nation, it is bad for the world as economic growth also relies on constant consume by the nation's citizens. When there's an overconsume, there's an overuse of resources, and it leads to waste not manageable. Consumerism is therefore not sustainable and is a very huge problem we have to solve. What effect has consumerism had on the global society? The ones I've listed, overproduction, as consumerism causes constant need for more and more. There's a natural answer by the factories to improve the factories all the time. Therefore, there are a constant flow of goods, but there is no place to put the waste from the goods. This is why overproduction and global warming is interconnected. Global warming is caused by emissions from, for example, factories. And when factories are using more resources than they need, the temperature gets higher. Plastic pollution is also an example. Plastic is an extremely durable, material, which is cheap to use, but it's also very hard to break down by nature. Overproduction, global warming, plastic pollution are therefore all connected. Increased economic and social inequality has also been an effect of consumerism, as factory workers are paid extremely little and the owners in the Western states get extremely wealthy off their work. Overproduction. Overproduction is the accumulation of unsellable inventories in the hands of business. In other words, it's a waste of resources because there's no need for the inventories that the businesses has created, only to get thrown away. Unequal distribution of and consume of goods across the globe is therefore a natural cause, as America uses 3 times more food, for instance, than they actually need. More people die of obesity and overweight than of underweight and malnourishment. This is quite a strong point, and it points to the unreasonably unequal distribution of food across the globe, as people die more often of overweight than of underweight. Plastic pollution. Plastic, as I mentioned, is extremely durable. This is both positive and negative. The positives of it being durable is that it's extremely effective in, for example, packaging, and also other areas of manufacturing. The problem is it's extremely hard to break down by nature, and it takes many thousands of years for plastic to return to its molecular levels. Therefore, ecosystems across the world suffer as the microplastics that results of the breaking down of the regular plastic interfere with the the food that is in the ecosystem. Plastic is can be reusable, but much of it is just dumped in nature. This is a huge problem, and if you watch at the graph, you can see which countries are the biggest dumpers of plastic. China, Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam, Sri Lanka are all Asian countries, which are much less developed than the Western. These countries poses the biggest threat for the plastic pollution problem, which is getting bigger every year. Global warming is also connected to why consumerism is a big challenge. As you can see on the graph, United States has one of the highest per capita emission in emission of CO2. Although China, which has the largest population in the world, has twice as big of emission than the United States. This is of course in 2013. You can see on the graph that the global warming is quite large. What is global warming, you may ask? It's by many standards our biggest and most pressing issue. Definition or what the global warming is an increase in the global temperature. Increase in global temperature is extreme can have extreme results, as we can see ice caps melting and sea levels rising, and it's estimated that almost half of the population have to move within 50 years because most of the population of the world lives by the sea. So naturally, if the sea level rise, they have to move to a more habitable place. So the greenhouse effect is what's causing the global warming. It's when radiation coming from the sun is not able to leave as it naturally would do because of gases that's keeping the heat inside. Something that's been done to try to prevent the global warming is the Paris Agreement, which for many years has been upheld by the ones part of the agreement, although the United States recently departed or left the agreement, which was a huge loss both for the US and for the world, as United States are one of the largest emitters of CO2. Consumerism connects many of the global challenges. Overproduction, overconsume of goods, and global warming are all connected. This is because consumerism is the theory that if you consume more goods, then your country will be better. Whether this is true or not, I have to disagree, as it's obvious that if you want a good life, you need to have a planet. And if there is no planet to live on because its resources has been used 10 times more frequently than it's need to be, then there is nothing to do. Global warming is of course connected to consumerism, as cars, for instance, are being made every year more and more. Although we can see a trend now in recent years that there's been a shift and more people are becoming environmentally enlightened, and more are taking precautions. Here are more sources. Yes. NRDC, of course, good source, World Health Organization, and yeah, Investopedia. Thank you.